Hey guys, Dr. Joe here, and I want to briefly talk to you today about osteoarthritis and why we can have two people with the same amount of osteoarthritis, and that being their only diagnosis, but one person has a level 10 or above pain, and the other person with the same amount of osteoarthritis and the only diagnosis has no pain at all. How could that be? First, I want to show you what osteoarthritis looks like on an x-ray, and then we will talk about why two people could have completely different outcomes from osteoarthritis. So this is a teaching x-ray, and this happens to be the cervical spine here, and all of these spaces between these vertebrae, between these bones, these spaces at least up here are all normal. But when we pan down to this space up here, we see a significantly decreased joint space. We even see a spur formation, that little piece right there, that calcium, and even calcium deposits at the edges of the joint. Again, all making the joint, the space, closer together. So that's what osteoarthritis looks like on x-ray. But let's show you our mascot over here. And our mascot, without making you too dizzy here, now our mascot Fred is being held apart, well, right now a little differently. He's being held apart by wires, right? So he's got joints, but he has wires holding his joints separated. This happens to be the elbow. Up here, he's holding his shoulder apart by this wire here. But what keeps our joints separated in the human body? Muscles. Now, when you have tone, if you have a toned muscle on this side, let's say the shoulder joint, and a toned muscle on this side of the shoulder joint, even though there might be significant arthritis there, those muscles are able to pull this joint, this, let's say it's an osteoarthritic joint, but it's able to pull this joint apart. Because what are we without our muscles? What would the skeleton be without these wires holding it together, without our muscles? This skeleton would literally just be a pile on the floor. So what gives the skeleton form and function is the muscles, and the muscles' ability to pull the joint apart. So remember, we have two people that come in with the same amount of arthritis. And what's happening is the person that has poor muscle tone, that arthritic joint, that decreased joint space, is even allowed to become closer when they're moving around. But if we have a person who's got good tone, has a tone or better toned muscle on the top of that joint and better toned muscle on the bottom of that joint, they're able to pull it apart when they move, when they engage. So, of course, the missing ingredient then is muscle tone for a bad joint. But we have to make sure that we have the parameters straight. We have to make sure that the exercises are straight, the diagnosis, the timing. And that's all what we teach in the office about how to get an osteoarthritic joint safely separated a little bit with muscle tone. Now, there's even evidence that if we continue to do that, we allow life, we allow flow, blood flow particularly, and fluid to come back in the joint space, and even increasing that space a little bit. Now, it might never look like the perfect space that we have perhaps elsewhere in the body, but it will look a lot better, but more importantly, it'll feel a lot better. So we teach that in here, along with the adjustments, that you need exercise to pull osteoarthritic joints slightly apart, so that you are that person that even though you have osteoarthritis, you feel a lot better with it, and possibly you have no pain at all in an osteoarthritic joint. And I know that we got great orthopedic surgeons that handle us when we are really bad, but I think sometimes they might do a little disservice when they say, well, it's inevitable, you're going to eventually see me, I'm going to have to do a joint replacement. So I would like to intervene a lot of times and say, well, we might be able to help that person keep that joint apart through continual, safe, easy exercise. And there are particular exercise regimens that really work great. And that's what we explain in the office. I hope to see you in the office soon. I hope that gave you a little bit of insight why you should never lose total hope when you get a diagnosis of osteoarthritis. There is a lot that you can do. So we'll see you hopefully in the office. We'll talk to you next time. Okay, signing off. Bye.